Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between AT and Socke versus DarkForce here on Metalopolis. We have an Overlord now making its way out across this small chasm here and will quickly be able to scout out Socke. Socke is spawning at the 3 o'clock location, meanwhile DarkForce spawning at the 12 o'clock location. Zerg versus Protoss. Seems to be a lot of Zerg versus Protoss matchups as of late, and that seems to be what I always come across. A couple of Terrans as well, but it almost feels like a lot of the Terran games are no longer that exciting. So hopefully things will change a little bit up. And now Socke able to quickly scout out this Overlord here. So the Overlord has been spotted, and now Socke knows where exactly to look to find his opponent. He's going to quickly come across his strategy, taking a look at DarkForce right now. DarkForce, maybe I don't know what his strategy is going to be just quite yet. He could try to go for a low ground hatchery, or he could go for extractor spawning pool. Both are viable options, but the probe gonna arrive a little bit early and not see anything and have to stick around and not mine minerals. So that will hurt Socke's economy just a little bit by scouting that early and not really revealing any true strategy. You can see now an extractor currently being built, the probe now making its way down, gonna patrol in that location. As the extractor is already coming into play, we should also see a spawning pool following in just a moment. There it is, there's that spawning pool. The probe must realize that something is up, needs to come back up that ramp and figure out what the strategy is. Socke warping in a gateway on the front door, also getting an assimilator, the standard build that most Protoss players use 95% of the time. And we should be getting another pylon in just a moment. Or is he actually going to go for Cybernetics core before pylon? No, there we go. There he's getting that pylon. It looked like he wanted to come down over here, try to warp in a Cybernetics core, and then said, wait, I need a gateway first. Back over here, the extractor currently just mining some gas. Only 2 harvesters on gas, so I'm assuming that is just for metabolic boost. A probe now with minerals in tow, stealing some of those minerals and now heading back to that low ground in order to just deny once again. So that probe just wandering in between these 2 locations, trying to figure out where exactly it can go. Zerglings are now being trained. The metabolic boost has not been completed and will need a little bit more gas. Will the drones be pulled off is going to be the question. It doesn't look like it, and the metabolic research hasn't even been started yet. There we go. And now drones are being pulled off. Zerglings now giving chase towards that one probe, but the probe has already escaped. We now have a drone waiting to grow up and be a hatchery. Back over here, Socke will easily be able to get a zealot in the position in between these 2 buildings, as that cybernetics core is now up. And now chrono boosting the warp gate research and also getting a sentry. So we may be seeing just your standard sentry play coming in from the Protoss player. What most likely happens, it's going to be a gateway, 2 gateways getting a lot of sentries. Also, since sentries are so gas intensive but not very mineral intensive, you can also expand at the same time by saving those minerals, and then the sentries get a lot of energy to be used later on, being able to corral roaches, banelings, and Zerglings. You can see that the one Zergling now trying to make its way through, unable to get sneak by as the Zealot is just sitting there on hold position. We also have a Cybernetics core about halfway done with that warp gate research. And now we have another gateway and another gateway again. So Socke opting to place his gateways in random locations, so it is much more difficult for an Overlord to spot what the strategy is. I do like that play as a pylon now being warped in on that low ground. The Zergling almost baiting the Zealot and the Sentry to try to attack him. But I do not think that the Zealot the Zealot will never be able to catch up, as we still are getting more and more sentries trained up. Cybernetics core, or sorry, the Sentry now sitting in that little location there. We should be getting up a gateway in just, or sorry, a Nexus in just a moment. And it would help if I actually had the production tab up. Roaches, and a Roach Warren, double Roach Warren coming in from DarkForce. I'm not 100% sure if he's actually planning to do that so he can get both Tunneling Claws and Glio Reconstitution at the same time. I have doubted players in the past before. I'm like, why are you going double Roach Warren? And then burrowed fast-moving roaches are a very, very strong option, especially since roaches only cost 25 gas. And then when you give them that movement speed upgrade and the burrow ability, it really catches a lot of Zerg players off guard, or sorry, Protoss players off guard, especially if the Protoss player tries to overly rely on sentries. Zocke currently with this many sentries, it also means that he does not have a robotics facility anytime soon, and without a robotics facility, he's not going to be able to spot those roaches. And trying to deal damage to roaches that have the tunneling claws hit point regeneration is so difficult. We now also have a hallucination coming in, so the hallucination needs to be cast rather quickly in order to be able to scout out the double roach warren. Taking a look at the roach warrens now, it is going to be the glio reconstitution most likely, followed by the tunneling claws. Is burrowed being researched? No. So none of the research is happening. No, sorry, burrowed now being researched. More roaches being trained up as we now have a phoenix, and just a phoenix hallucination just wandering around. The phoenix hallucination is going to spot the double roach warren. So if he spots the double roach warren, he should try to go for a forge as quickly as possible. If he doesn't go for a forge, at least a robotics facility, but that is going to be an even heavier gas. And there it is, there's that robotics facility. Zocke quickly realizing that there is double roach warren and needs to get a robotics facility after seeing 2 roach warrens in play. I'm still waiting for the tunneling claws research and the glio reconstitution. I don't see it just quite yet. So DarkForce may decide not to go down that tech path. It will save him a little bit of gas, and perhaps he can even go into Hydras, as Hydralisks are very strong against sentries as long as they have that groove spine research. Another Phoenix now making its way out to do more scouting. Stalkers now joining in on this fight as well. And Zocke, off of 2 base play, should be able to get a decent number of Colossus. Oh, is he going to be able to get a Corruption off? No, Contaminate off? No, the Overseer quickly getting shut down and now is dead. The Glio Reconstitution has been started. Is the Tunneling Claws going to get started next? He does have enough gas and minerals for it, but I do not believe he has started it, as a hatchery now goes down on the high ground location, and now going into a Hydralisk den. The more I talk about this, the fact that he is not researching tunneling claws off of that second roach warren, and the more time has allotted, the more I believe that that second roach warren was just a complete misplay there. Stalkers and sentries just hanging around by this warp gate, waiting for something to happen. Both players just sitting in their base and trying to macro up a large army. Now, as things currently stand, I would give the advantage to Zocke. Zocke has a very large gas and mineral army. He is also currently only slightly behind in terms of probe production. So he has the much larger army with the ability to train up a lot of units. You can see the warp gates are there, 4 gates with the robotics bay, and now the forge with level 1 weapons upgrade being researched. Stalker's going to quickly walk up that ramp, shoot that down, and then make their way out and trek into the base now. So the sentry is now trying to move out, actually going to move back in instead, and the observer is sticking close by to make sure that he does not get sniped down by any burrowed roaches. With this many sentries and now level 1's weapon upgrade nearing completion, I think that the Stalkers and Sentries with the Zealot support should be able to get a lot of damage in very easily. Where are the force fields? No force fields. There we go. Finally getting a force field. 1 Sentry now pulling back, and more force fields coming in once again. So only 5 roaches are able to engage at any one time, as those roaches are just dancing around back and forth. The Sentries are pulling away, and now so many force fields down, and DarkForce losing much of his attacking force in this battle so far. Stalkers are continuing to battle it out, and now the problem with those force fields, without a Colossus, the Colossus is not there to break down your force fields for you and give chase. Roaches back on creep, able to move very quickly as well, and now just continuing to move around the map. Mutalisks now being added to the army, so no Corruptors, just Mutalisks. 5 Mutalisks perhaps to do some mineral harassment. There is no cannons anywhere in the mineral line, so with no cannons in the mineral line, Stalkers will have to try to make their way, and without Stalker Blink, without Blink, those Stalkers are not going to be able to catch up to those very fast flying Mutalisks. 5 Mutalisks already in the air. Those Mutalisks going to regroup together, almost able to exactly able to one-shot any of those probes. So 1 probe is going to get taken down, and as soon as that Glaive Worm splash damage starts to hit multiple units, that's going to help out even further. The Stalkers need to try to walk up that ramp, but there's a very narrow choke point there, as multiple probes have been taken down. The Mutalisks now able to fly away and live to fight another day. So 6 Mutalisks. returning home after destroying some probes. So down to 48 probes compared to 55 drones, as a third base is now being established by DarkForce. DarkForce also making sure to get another extractor up for additional gas. He is now able to train up 5 Mutalisks a minute if he decides to. Also getting the Zerg level 1 flyer attack upgrades. And now we also see a photon cannon being warped in at the... Where is that photon cannon being warped in? Warped in down over here? Yes, down over here in order to be able to protect against any units. And now Colossus and Stalkers are engaging. We have the Guardian Shields already coming into play. Mutalisk now trying to battle it out, but that is not a very smart fight, as there's just too many Stalkers to deal with. Those Stalkers do have the level 1 weapons upgrade by now. And now with the stronger Colossus Stalker Ball, and Socke also getting the Twilight Council, this is going to work out very, very well for Socke. Socke just needs to simply attack move eventually as he adds more and more units into this ball. A couple of Void Rays couldn't hurt, as well as the Observer now revealing all of those creep tumors. He wants to shut down those creep tumors and deny any true movement speed buff. But with only 2 Colossus, he needs about 4 to 5 Colossus to reach critical mass and be able to just fight back. And now in comes a fight. There's going to be Roaches, but half of the Roach army unable to engage. The other half unable to engage as well, as now the Mutalisks have been picked down. So wow, 8 force fields completely stopping that fight there. And taking a look at the losses once again, we now have DarkForce losing 2,000 more minerals than Socke. Mutalisks looking to come in, trying to deal more damage, is not going to be able to get any damage, as there are 4 Stalkers wandering back and forth between those locations, as DarkForce now attempts to establish up a 4th base. The main mineral patches are starting to run low, down to 220, 180, so by the time this hatchery is done, they should probably be down to their last about 50 minerals or so. Stalkers now on their way out, perhaps going to be able to walk in and do a little bit more of attack move using those force fields and trying to shut down the Zerg players' Roaches once again. No Corruptors to be seen though. So this Stalker Sentry Colossus Death Ball looking to deal even more damage to 3 Colossi now starting to join in. More Stalkers being warped in, as well as those Mutalisks looking to try to get more damage. 4 Stalkers reinforcing into this location, and now the Roach is going to try to walk up this ramp, but are not going to be able to, as there is a photon cannon here and some gateways. And now the Colossus and Stalkers trying to come in. Are the Stalkers going to be able to blink and get even more damage? It looks like they could blink and now pick off even more of those Roaches. I believe if the sentries were actually close enough, they could have corralled so many of those Roaches and then gotten off the kill. More Stalkers now continuing to blink forward, able to get more damage, and now the Zerglings now trying to put pressure into this location here. There are 2 photon cannons. The Zerglings now trying to run single file into the base. The probes need to try to fight back. Both photon cannons are going to get shut down. No, one of them is going to get shut down. The second one still in play as it continues to pick apart many Zergling after Zergling. So down over here, multiple probes are getting destroyed, but now Zerglings are getting toasted over here by those Colossus. We currently still have 3 Colossi, and now more Colossus will be joining that army as we are now getting level 2 weapons upgrade. But DarkForce now expanding into the 6 o'clock location as well, expanding halfway across the map. The furthest possible expansion possible in order to try to get a strong economic lead. Roach is now going to be able to take down 1 gateway. If he's able to shut down multiple gateways and then just simply attack and stutter step into here, he may be able to shut down this expansion. 1 gateway, and now 2, 3, 4 Colossus able to quickly come in. And even though the Roaches were able to shut down some of those buildings, the Colossus just dealing too much damage. And now those Roaches are forced to pull back, but in comes another attack over here at the main base with Mutalisks. So Mutalisks attacking the main base, Roaches attacking the expansion. Stalkers now trying to engage. The Roaches are now battling it out. The Stalkers, are they going to be able to get another blink off? It doesn't look like they're going to try to blink once more if they're able to blink. Oh, picking off even more of those Roaches. So 1 Roach at a time now getting taken down. There is a couple Colossus over here at the main base, or at the main expansion now, as the main base has already been destroyed. Level 3 weapons upgrade has not been started, probably not going to be able to finish at all, as the Stalkers are now trying to finish out this large army of Mutalisks, and Zerglings coming at the same time. Roaches now joining in on the fight as well, but a lot of Mutalisks and Zerglings getting caught in transition, as Socke has a very large army of units, and now Roaches now swarming into the main base of Socke. It looks as though the Mutalisks are going to be able to finish off the expansion here, and now there is only a couple Stalkers here, and there is not that much that Socke can really do to stop this death ball. The bionic death ball with Mutalisks, so difficult to stop, as the Mutalisks are able to deal a lot of damage and be everywhere they want to be. Colossus and Stalkers now continuing to move around the map. are what is going to happen here, as this expansion is now has been completed by DarkForce, and so has this one. So the main bases are pretty much destroyed, as now the Roach is going after the other key tech. Warp gates could still warp in additional units, but there is no cybernetics core. So the Stalkers now making their way, and Socke may lose this game, as he is now down to a very, very small mining task force here. The Stalkers and now Mutalisk being separated from their own Roaches, and now multiple force fields once again, and DarkForce now in trouble, as he lost many of his Mutalisks, and those Roaches were unable to engage in that battle. Socke, with now twice the army size as his opponent, may be able to fight back and get back into this with just one base mining. You can see that the expansion over here doesn't have any drones. The main base has a couple of drones, but many of there's 48 drones. Where are the rest of the drones? Down here? Over here? I don't see, oh, there's 48 drones. So there's more drones now going to continue to mine and perhaps try to get back into this game. You can see that there is one burrowed Zergling here. Socke doesn't realize how far behind he is. He doesn't know that there is multiple expansions. There is a pylon here, so he has to assume that there's something going on down over here as well, as the creep has been exposed. Mutalisk now looking to deal more damage. Multiple pylons will shut down this gateway and this robotics bay and forge, as well as the Roaches now scampering about to look to deal more damage into the main base. No, the Roach is now turning back around. There is still this one pylon. I do not think, no, DarkForce does not know about that hidden dark pylon there. Colossus Sentries Observer now on the move, 5175 compared to 3575. That one Roach quickly getting destroyed there. And production-wise, more Mutalisks and Zerglings are still being trained. 2 more hatcheries being morphed into play as DarkForce trying to get back into this game. There is still plenty of energy on this queen to do more spawn larvae. Zerglings looking to see where they can pick off and deal more damage. The main base has a lot of photon cannons, so those photon cannons are going to be very tricky to deal with, especially with High Templar and Psystorm as well. Stalkers and now Colossus making their way over here, going to be able to shut down this hatchery very, very easily. Stalkers now bringing up the rear, and now Queen is trying to join in on the fight. That Queen is going to get destroyed as well. It looks as though it's going to become a base race, as DarkForce now tries to push into this expansion over here. There is a lot of photon cannons, and he does not want to engage. The Colossus Stalker Ball continuing to deal more damage. The hatchery has been shut down here, and I'm not sure why these drones are hiding. There are Stalkers over here, so the Stalkers now shutting down this hatchery as well. So DarkForce, who had such a large economic lead, is not able to defend it. And now down to 3775 with Zerglings and Roaches trying to battle it out. Psystorm now coming in and now being cast on multiple units back and forth. Mutalisk now trying to come in, and another Psystorm. A lot hitting those Mutalisks. Once again, those Mutalisks do not want to take any additional damage. They could merge into an Archon. No, unable to, as there is now only one High Templar left. Doesn't have enough energy anymore, and now the Stalkers and Colossi trying to return home. But no, the Colossus are on the wrong side, and those Colossus can get picked apart by those Mutalisks very, very easily. The Mutalisks, however, not going to get there in time at all. And now the army at 5,000 compared to 1575. Stalkers quickly blinking up onto that high ground, picking off 2 Mutalisks in transition. And now we can see DarkForce does not have enough drones to really get back into this game. He still has a couple of those drones here, Spawning Pool and Spire, which will both begin to bleed and take even more damage. These larvae, as soon as they're off of creep, are instantly killed as well. Stalkers now continuing to make their way up and perhaps try to put the final nail in the coffin here on Metalopolis. And I cannot imagine what DarkForce can really do to get back into this game. The Mutalisk and the Mutalisk Zergling strategy, as powerful as it is, unable to deal with the sheer amount of splash damage, and the Stalkers with that Stalker blink. One Stalker now making their way over here, making sure that there is not a hatchery, doesn't see one, and now going to just make their way into this expansion here. This expansion will quickly get shut down as drones are now being transferred perhaps over into this base location, and now more Zerglings are finishing off Socke's a couple of simulators. At some point, Socke needs to continue to just train up more probes and figure out what exactly he can do. There is no Templar archives, so he's not able to warp in any more High Templar. I don't think there's even a High Templar left in here. No more High Templar left, as the Colossus and Stalkers are just continuing to destroy multiple drones. And yeah, that has to be GG. Socke has one High Templar within his Protoss Death Ball grouping. So even the Mutalisk, if they try to engage, one Psystorm underneath those Mutalisks would just severely damage multiple ones. Drones now coming over. Looks like the spawning pool and the Spire are now slowly bleeding to death. The spawning pool should be saved, and so should the Spire by the time that this hatchery is up. There should be creep just underneath there, but a Stalker now going to come over as well and start the... Oh, it canceled the hatchery and now pulling away. So the main Death Ball coming back over, and now these two buildings will get destroyed in just a moment. So more drones trying to do more long distance mining. This Death Ball, 5,575 minerals with over 3,000 gas, able to deal so much damage. The Observer, not anywhere, was nearby. There it goes, able to take down all of those burrowed drones. Still a couple burrowed drones over here as well, as the Mutalisk coming in to engage into the trying to avoid those photon cannons. The photon cannons getting some damage, and now those Mutalisks being very careful to utilize that range of 3 to the maximum effect. You can see that it's trying to splash and get some damage, but the Stalker is able to blink in once again. 22 Mutalisks in that group, and just constantly keeping Socke on his toes, unable to really engage. There is one High Templar down over here, another High Templar here as well, waiting to get more and more energy for more Psystorm. We are now getting the Amulet research as well, so those High Templars are going to be able to warp in and instantly Psystorm, a very, very powerful and devastating blow to a Mutalisk ball. Time and time again. There is still one High Templar in this group, and it looks as though the Mutalisks are going to be able to come around that backside, perhaps get some damage onto these buildings before the Photon Cannon completes. No, one Photon Cannon has been completed, and now going to quickly shut that down. One Photon Cannon is now down. Second Photon Cannon is going to get destroyed. No, not going to get destroyed, as a High Templar tries to get underneath. Stalker is trying to blink over, unable to catch up to those fast-flying Mutalisks once again, and this game is just dragging on. DarkForce hoping and praying for a miracle. I'm hoping that Socke makes a terrible mistake and perhaps he splits up his army, and by splitting up his army he would not be able to deal nearly as much. Mutalisk almost engaged over there, can perhaps try to engage over here, take off one of those Stalkers one at a time. One Stalker down, another Stalker down. Stalker is being very smart, blinking away. And now in come those Photon Cannons. No Psystorm though, as those Mutalisks taking down another one of those Stalkers here. Colossus, Stalker, Sentry, Death Ball now once again on the move. The Mutalisks looking to see how much damage they can do. And there's that Psystorm getting so much damage over there. And there you go. There's the GG from DarkForce. So DarkForce losing game 1 here on Metalopolis to Socke. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.